Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a very good day. I know I am. Today's video, kind of sad, kind of a very touchy subject. It's a video that was published, I think, it was actually published yesterday. Final 16 and a half hours of Pop Smoke. It's crazy to think that this incident happened 2 years ago. 2 years ago, and I don't know like the full logistics of whether they solved the case or not. I'm pretty sure they have, because the dudes that went in there and did something, excuse me for a second, the dudes that are responsible for this, they posted about it on IG later, so I'm pretty sure they prosecuted them, but that's neither here nor there. I'm gonna watch the video and give my thoughts on the entire situation, and yeah, I'm gonna go from there. Let's get into it.
On February 19, 2020, at about 4:30 a.m., Pop Smoke was shot and killed inside of his Airbnb. He wasn't alone, but at the time of the robbery, he was inside the shower. 4 teenagers would storm the house that night before the youngest, a 15-year-old, would fatally shoot him. Pop Smoke was just 20 years old at the time.
And the dude that took him out was 15, bro? Come on, man. He was 20.
No. He was officially pronounced dead at 5:12 that morning, but it would end up taking months to fully solve this case. TMZ reported his death
it always does.
At 4 p.m. on February 19th. If we look back at his last post on Instagram, we can see exactly how his day played out.
Let's see what you got here. It better be.
When stuff happens like this, it usually takes so long to, you know, fully solve the case for some reason. But like all the pictures and the videos they're showing like on his Instagram story, I've seen those 1,000 times, bro. It's so crazy. So crazy.
The very next post would change the events of that night. That post actually comes from Mike D.
Mike D is his homie.
Around 4 p.m., a series of pictures were uploaded on both their accounts. On Pop Smoke's Instagram showed 3 back-to-back pictures of him and Mike together, with Mike holding a stack of cash.
Yep.
On Mike's page was another photo, and nothing seemed wrong with it at first. But this picture had 2 fatal problems. The picture was of Pop Smoke and Mike,
and the zip code.
The same stack of money.
Nope.
But in the top left corner, the entire home address is almost visible, with only the first number missing. If someone were to be looking for Pop Smoke, all they had to do was find the first number between 1 and 9.
Nope.
But the worst mistake would come after Mike geotagged the post, showing the location on Instagram maps. This was something they simply couldn't afford to do. An average person can get away with this, but for a high-profile rapper holding wads of cash, this was unacceptable.
And also, not only high-profile holding loads of money, but you gotta understand something. The stuff that he talked about in his music. The lifestyle he glorified, the stuff that he talked about, the way he portrayed himself as an MC, as a rapper, as a musician, that too, you certainly can't afford to mess up. You certainly can't afford to mess up. He even said in his last interview with Angie Martinez, he's like, we can't afford to mess up because they watching. They was watching you, bruh. And you know, posting the address and posting your location, you can't do that kind of stuff. You can't. You can't.
Despite these posts, the afternoon would carry on seemingly normal, but a few keen eyes had already begun connecting the dots. At 5 p.m., another update to Pop Smoke's story would be added. This one showed him driving once again with the same stack of cash and a diamond-studded Rolex on his wrist. Now there was a location and a motive, and for them, that was enough.
Yeah, it's always enough.
For a few hours, Pop Smoke didn't update any posts, but we know he was out shopping. Shortly after taking the photos in the driveway, Mike and Pop got into the white Range Rover and drove from the Airbnb down Santa Monica Boulevard before stopping at the Amiri store. Pop Smoke was getting ready for his Meet the Woo tour starting in March and was taking his last week on vacation. His Meet the Woo 2 tape had just dropped weeks prior, and he was still celebrating its success. So it was only...
He was celebrating his life in general, bro. He was having fun. He was cooling. Just vibing out. He was cooling, bro.
normal for him to go shopping and reward himself.
Of course.
After all, he was in Beverly Hills, a place known for its luxurious shopping. Just 7 hours before his death, at 10 p.m., he returned back to the Airbnb and updated his story again. This time with the view of the city at night.
Bro, this picture scares me, bro. I've seen this. Like I said, I've seen all the pics and the videos. I've seen it all. This picture right here, bro, oh my God. It scares me. It's like, oh my God. It's so haunting. I can't even, it's scary for a reason I can't describe. Like, I can't describe why this picture is so scary. It's the last one he took before he went out, bro. It's just so ominous and dark, and it's like, that's scary, man. That just creeps me out for some reason. I don't know about y'all, but that scares me.
From the backyard, but his stay was short. He still wanted to record new music that night. At 11 p.m., Pop Smoke would upload a seemingly harmless video, showing some of the shopping he had done earlier that day. Unfortunately, this post would be the third and final mistake.
Wasn't the whole address?
The shown in the video would leak sensitive information.
The whole address.
Airbnb's full address.
The whole
And now he was
address.
completely vulnerable.
Crazy.
A talent manager at his label spotted the error and asked him to take the post down.
Should have done
But what
that.
Pop Smoke
Nope.
didn't know was that two teenagers had already been keeping an eye on his stories. The two men who were taking notice were from the well-known Hoover gang in LA. They took note that Pop Smoke was close by, only about 20 minutes away. Their cell phone records show that around midnight they began looking at the address on maps and scouting out the location. They decided they would make a move that night.
That's crazy.
At 1 a.m., Pop and Mike left to record at East West Studios near Sunset Boulevard, just a few miles away.
Real quick before I continue, I gotta say something. Like, being in the position that Pop Smoke was in, and he probably, I don't know if he was aware of it. I mean, he had to be, because he said it in an interview, in his last interview, but like, he probably was aware of it but didn't think too much of it. If I was in this position where I was coming up and making loads of cash and was, you know, stacking out and, you know, becoming this big musician, which is a place I want to get to one day. If I was in this position, bro, but on top of that, I got eyes on me. I got people that are looking for me for a less than ideal reason or for a less than welcoming reason. I would be terrified. I'll be locked up tight in my house and you would not hear from me or see me until I feel comfortable. Like, I would be scared. I would be terrified, bro. If I had eyes on me and have to look over my shoulder every time I leave my house, bro, I would be, even if I had a solid security team, a solid legal team behind me, I would be scared, bro. I'd be scared.
While he was working on new music, the two teens were working on their plan. According to the Los Angeles Times, at 2 a.m., a black BMW would show up on surveillance outside the home. The car rolled past the house.
This was 2 hours before he got killed.
It showed a passenger getting out and sneaking toward the back of the house before quickly returning to the car. At the time, too many people were in the home, and Pop wasn't even there. The car then sped off, heading back to where they came from, where they recruited two more teens to help in the robbery. The hills were only about 20 minutes away from South LA, so they all decided to switch cars and try returning later. Around 3 a.m., Pop left East West Studios. He got in the Range Rover with Mike and a woman he met that night named Amelia Rose. They would then drive back, unknowing of the events about to take place. Pop and Amelia went upstairs to the master bedroom and Mike to a room down the hall. Around the same time, the four teens had already swapped cars to an Infiniti sedan and began looking up the address on Zillow. Through pictures, they now had a better understanding of the home's layout and the location of the master bedroom Pop would most likely be
They
staying
was
in.
scoping
Pop,
the
who was
house.
out of bed with Amelia, got ready to end his night with a shower. His last activity on social media were these Twitter replies to a few fans. About 20 minutes passed and the Infiniti would pull up, lights off. They snuck through the backyard and climbed up the balcony to the second floor. Amelia was the first one to notice the movement outside, but before she could react, the house was stormed by three men with masks and guns out.
Unbelievable.
They put a gun to her head and advised her to stay quiet, taking her phone and purse while the other two went into the bathroom to confront Pop Smoke. They told Pop to take off his watch and hand it over, to which he did. But then Pop lunged at the gun.
Y'all did all that for a Rolex, bro. Y'all did all that for a watch.
In an attempt
A watch?
to fight back when he was shot in the chest by a 15-year-old.
Yeah.
Amelia screamed as Pop hit the floor and the two men kicked him repeatedly. In a final attempt to escape, Pop got up and ran toward the stairs where he was shot 2 more times in the back. The three men then stormed out of the house. Mike was woken up by gunshots ringing through the halls, to which he found Pop at the bottom of the stairs and immediately called 911.
Hello? Hello? I'm just having to wait for
Now, was that Mike crying?
Medical arrived 20 minutes later and took him to Cedars-Sinai, where he passed away just 1 hour later. At
And
the
right,
same time-
and right there, W firefighter, because he tried the best he could to revive Pop Smoke. He tried to, you know, bring him back. I got respect for him for trying to do. I mean, in a way, I guess that's part of their job. But you know, he gave it a shot. I respect him for that. I guess he didn't want to see. Someone even said in the comments of of that video posting is that, you know, he didn't want to see someone that young go out like that. He tried to bring him back. I mean, you know, either way, whole W for trying to do that, you know. But it was too late from that point.
Time of his passing, his killers were already searching up the local news to see if they had reported it yet. They even looked up the price of Pop's stolen Rolex, the only item they made it out the house with. In total, they got just $2,000 for it, split between 4 people. Despite having cell phone and internet records, authorities didn't have hard evidence to make arrests for almost 3 months.
They never do. This happens before. This has happened before. Continues to. And it always takes forever for them to come to a case. It always takes forever. And it's funny because like the names of the people responsible for this stuff are discovered later on. And even from that point, the names, the faces, the identity, the motives. I mean, we can all assume the motives. We don't even need to come to a verdict for that. But they have all that. And it still takes 6 months to a year for them to finally put together a whole case and lock the people up for murder. It takes forever, and that significantly bothers me. I don't know the ins and outs about the legal system, and I don't care to find out. I don't care to discover that because it's a whole process, a whole system that it's going to give me a headache trying to figure out. But it don't seem right, knowing that you have all the information you possibly need and then some, and it's still taking even longer to come to an entire verdict or to put a case together. It's crazy. Again, don't know the ins and outs about the whole thing, about the entire government system.
Had their eyes on him as a person of interest. They rigged his jail cell with recording devices.
Okay, so he was
eventually told his cellmate he'd taken part in robbing Pop Smoke and that he pulled the trigger killing the rapper.
Okay, so he was a previous offender.
And eventually told his cellmate the same details of that night, confirming the story. Initially having no intentions of shooting him, but when Pop put up a fight, they panicked and shot him.
Cap! You walked in there trying to... Cap. You went into that house trying to rob him. You expect him to not fight back? Come on, bro.
Corey Walker was the 19-year-old who stayed in the car that night, and Keandre Rogers was the 18-year-old who led the charge into the house. They were both charged with murder with special circumstances and will remain in prison indefinitely. The 17 and 15-year-old were charged as juveniles for murder and robbery, and they remain unnamed to this day due to being minors.
Wow.
Pop Smoke was tragically taken too soon before he had the chance to grow to become the face of the drill movement.
Exactly.
The tragedy of Pop Smoke's death lies in the fact that we can see his last day with us through his posts. But these are the same posts that would get him killed. Fans would express their hurt for the death of Bashar, and to this day, over 2 years since his passing, his music is still loved and being discovered by people every day.
Of course it is. The dude was talented. And also, too, it goes past, like, the so obvious talent level of this dude. But you got to think about something else, too. Of course, the music is there. The music is there. The talent was there. The skill set was there. People were even making parallels to 50 Cent. They still do to this very day. Even 50 Cent even uploaded a video talking about how he, fell in love with Pop Smoke because of how much he was trying to study the game. He was sitting there taking notes what he said. He was a student and was truly acting like it. But the part that should really be respected about Pop Smoke is the fact that he was, again, I was 19 when this dude went out. He was 20. Like, these dudes is kids, bruh. He was coming up, making moves, making money, and had an entire, a huge fan base behind him. Angie Martinez said it best. He was well on his way. He wasn't even to where he was about to be. He was well on his way. And it's still, and it's something as simple mistake, something as you or the people around you doing something so accidental or so, unsafe as posting an address, and it's over like that. Crazy, bro. But yeah, tragic story all around, man.
Rest in peace to the Wu.
100%. Yeah, tragic story, bro. Being that famous, being that huge, and making that much money, but still having eyes on you, want to take advantage of you. And it's even sadder because he literally said that in his last interview. They watching. We can't afford to mess up. They watching. Rip in peace to Pop Smoke. I hope his family is good, psychologically and emotionally. I hope Mike all right, because I know I saw the post of him. He was hurt. Let me guys know what you guys think in the comments about this overall tragic situation. It appears that this is new information because all the ins and outs of what happened that night, all I know is it was a home invasion and it ended his life. But I didn't know the ins and outs of the events. I know also what led to it, like him and Mike posting the full address of where they got their stuff at, but I didn't know everything else. So some of it in here might be new information, but for the most part, it's something that I kind of already assumed and knew. Yeah, tragic situation. Rest in peace, Pop Smoke.